Gunshot wounds, mass graves, migrants hunted and killed in Libya. This isn't fiction, it's happening right now. And it's part of a larger deadly system driven by migration policies that prioritizes borders over lives. On February 10th, 2025, the UN confirmed that dozens of bodies of African migrants had been found in 2 mass graves in Libya. The International Organization for Migration, IOM, has expressed shock at the discovery with some bodies showing gunshot wounds. But who's responsible and how did we get here? Let's break it down. My name is Hamza Igal. Welcome to Here's the Deal. Now, the migration crisis in Libya is something that I have been following and paying attention to for quite some time. Let's start with the facts. The mass graves were found in 2 key locations. Jaka Harar, about 400 kilometers from Benghazi, where 19 bodies were recovered. Kufra, a desert region in southeastern Libya, where authorities have found at least 30 bodies and are expected to find up to a total of 70. These aren't isolated incidents. Just last year, Libyan authorities discovered 65 more bodies in a mass grave in an area called Shuwayrif near Tripoli. But here's the most chilling part. Some of these bodies had gunshot wounds. Migrants and refugees trying to escape violence and poverty were executed and their dreams of safety ended in the desert. Why? Because of a system that treats them as disposable. Libya has become the deadliest route for African migrants looking to cross the Mediterranean Sea and reach Europe. Forget the countless lives that have drowned in the Mediterranean. Many never even see the water. They're intercepted by Libyan militias or police, sold to traffickers, or detained in camps. The fact is, since 2017, more than 670,000 migrants have been trapped in Libya under brutal conditions, many of them subjected to rape, torture, and forced labor in detention centers. This isn't just about human trafficking, it's state-sponsored violence fueled by Europe's outsourced migration policies. Now here's what they don't want you to know. The EU has been funding Libyan militia and coast guards to stop African migrants before they reach Europe. Under the EU-Libya migration deal, the EU has spent over 700 million training and equipping Libyan forces to intercept boats, raid migrant camps, and patrol the desert. The fact is, the Global Slavery Index estimates that there are over 48,000 modern-day slaves in Libya, many of them African migrants. They are forced to work in construction, agriculture, or sold into sex trafficking rings. And it doesn't stop there. Libya has become a hub for organ trafficking. Migrants who can't pay ransoms are often killed and their organs harvested and sold on the black market. The UN Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, has documented cases where kidneys, livers, and other organs were sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. These mass graves are not incidents. They're part of a system designed to exploit and discard human beings, and it needs to stop. And Europe knows this is happening. The IOM and the UN have repeatedly warned the EU about human rights abuses in Libya. In 2023, the UN accused the EU of complicity in these atrocities directly. But instead of stopping the funding, Europe keeps doubling down. Why? Because it's politically convenient to keep African migrants out of sight and out of mind. Let's talk about the real reasons these migrants are risking their lives. They're fleeing poverty, war, climate disasters, many of which are rooted in colonialism and modern-day exploitation. Sudan, for example. Civil wars have displaced millions with conflict fueled by foreign arms deals. Niger, extreme poverty and drought have left over 40% of the population in food security. In Somalia, a combination of climate-driven famine and conflict has made the country unlivable for many. These are not random crises. They're the direct result of decades of resource extraction, foreign intervention, and broken global systems. Here's what needs to happen. Number 1. End the EU-Libya migration deal immediately. Europe should stop funding human rights abuses and establish safe and legal migration routes. Number 2. Close the detention centers and prosecute traffickers responsible for mass graves, slavery, and organ harvesting. Number 3. Address the root causes of migration by investing in African economies, not as aid, but as reparations for centuries of exploitation. Number 4, support climate resilient programs to help communities affected by drought and famine and resource scarcity. The mass graves in Libya are a wake-up call to all. Migrants aren't criminals, they're people fighting for survival. The EU and the global community can't keep turning a blind eye. We have two choices: continue funding death and exploitation, or fight for a system that values human life over borders. It really is that simple. So what can you do? Please share this video, let the world know what's happening. Hold your leaders accountable. Demand an end to the EU migration deals. Support organizations fighting for human rights, because no one should be dying looking for a better life. Follow me for more updates on global justice and human rights. Thank you again. My name is Hamza Igal.